everyone, I hope you all are doing well today. And before we start today's video, here is an announcement to make. My two e-learning modules on fundamentals of project management and fundamentals of business communication are out there on Udemy. It's a 3-hour course on each subject with lots of downloadable resources as well as tests and quizzes in between. The link is mentioned in the description box below, as well as the referral code for discounts. So do check it out, and if you are enrolling, I'll see you on that side. And before we start today's video, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Well, why do we choose what we choose? How do we decide? How did you decide your favorite ice cream flavor when you were a kid? How did you choose what you need to study, be it science, arts, or commerce after passing out your 10th grade? How did you take decisions as a child? And now as well, if someone asks you something, you say yes to some things, but you also say no to some things. How do you decide that? Well, it may seem difficult or it may seem simple, but our brain has been practicing the art of decision making since we were kids. So today, in this episode of the Weekend Club series, we are going to have conversations around and decode around how our decisions evolve from childhood to adulthood, and how do we make decisions now? What has changed? Is it more rational? Are we thinking from a critical thinking perspective? Is it a combination of thinking out of emotions as well as rationally, practically, etc.? So without much saying, let's get started. Okay, so since we are going to discuss today about the decision making, how do we decide, how do we make decisions in our life? So my very first question to both of you is that when we were kids, how did we end up deciding things for ourselves? How did we end up deciding what did we like or disliked in our childhood? Was it family influence? Was it peer pressure? Was it because our cousins or friends told us something that we are doing and so we went up with the crowd? What was it? What do you think about it? How did we decide on things as a child?
I think, first of all, when we were childs, then I think we were not deciding by ourselves. It was mainly parents or some peers, like elders, who were deciding. But as we grow up, like as we become more like a rebel child, then we start deciding by ourselves in a way. And I would say then it has a lot of influence comes from family. For example, if Gaurav is doing something, then maybe I will pull towards doing the same thing. Also, influence from friends makes up our decisions. Like, for example, if our friend has like a green color bag, then I want a green color bag. And lastly, I think also what played a crucial role in my life, if I say from like 8th grade to 10th grade, when I was not child anymore, but a teenager, was movies. I think, for example, I was like big fan of some of the Marvel movies, some of the army movies like Lakshya. So I think those also tried to shape not day-to-day decisions, but in terms of what I was attracted towards in my life.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Rahul that I don't think we do make decisions when we're that young, at least, or when we are children. But I think also one major part is also society itself, right? Like, we have friends and family, but then also outside. For example, let's say when we were growing up, cricket was a big thing, right? So now your dream as a child is to be a good cricketer. So you want to see yourself on that space, right? Or you want to be Sonu Nigam or this or that. Like, you want to be in that space where you see that this is the best validation you can get. So I think that also is a thing, yeah.
Right, but with that, my next question is that all our parents sometimes want us to be part of some or other activities when we were child. Like, if most of our friends are going for swimming classes or drawing classes or dance classes, our parents would be like, okay, you should also join the football club or something like that. But not every child will love the same activity. I mean, as a child, I was very aware that I am not meant for sports, but I do love dancing. And that didn't come from my parents' influence because none of my family members are professional dancers. But I chose to learn it professionally. And even in my closest vicinity of my friends and cousins that I used to meet and greet daily, none of them also were into dance. But somehow I had that inclination, and whenever I used to perform, even as a child, I started performing on stage when I was 3.5 4 years old. So none of the family members were quite into that field, and it was not even the family's influence, but somehow I just got inclined towards it. The music used, whenever someone used to play any music, I used to just keep on, I started dancing randomly, and people used to see that okay, she can dance, and that's how I started learning, and that's how I started figuring out that I do like dance. And somehow we all have physical education and sports class when we were in school, right? And we used to learn lots of sports activities and games as well when we were in school, but somehow I always used to feel that this is something I'm not good at, and I don't even want to learn. I don't know. I'm not a science student, so I don't know where that part came from, where I knew what I want and what I didn't want. So I'm sure every child knows that this is my hobby and this is something I really don't like, even though if my friends are doing. What do you think? How we decide that? How do we get those instincts? Or did you both have any such activities, or something that you felt that okay, this is something, even if my friends are not part of it or cousins are not part of it, but I still want to go ahead with it, I really enjoy this? Did you decide on something related to such activities in your life as a child?
That's a very complex question, but I mean, but I think for example, when I was in school, a big part was like, okay, our whole school, I studied in a boys' school, so we had like mostly a lot of sports activities and so on, and we had a lot of like, our school was very much like everyone was into football, and that I think was a thing. Like in our school, it was not about all, like when you had breaks, you didn't go play cricket or something, you would play football, even if it was for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, right? And I think that then becomes like a, like this, it was from peers more than just yourself, like, and now I still like football, or I would like to play or whatever. I'm not doing it anymore, but then it's like, okay, that still has stayed with me. And now I think you just evolve from one sport to the other or so, but then it is more about, okay, now you kind of, as you grow old, you have a better idea of yourself, so you can tune it, but I think that still sticks.
Okay, so basically what you are saying is, as a child, majority of our decision are, most of the times, for most of the people, kids, are based on the cultural conditioning and not necessarily the religious or the country's cultural conditioning. But as you said, that in school, the environment that we are growing up in also shapes our likes, dislikes, our thought processes, our personality as well. So sometimes the kind of environment that we live in also builds and also makes us take decision as per that, and that involves all kinds of environment, even religious or even ethnicity, but also on a micro scale, with whom we are living, what our cousins are doing, what our friends are doing, what is the competency of our school, is it good in sports or performing arts or such kind of things, right? So correct. But as we grow up, our brain starts getting more and more analytical. We are trying to constantly figure out things, good, bad, right, wrong, is it a gray in between, all of those things. We have lots of questions as teenagers. So now comes when we have to choose a stream after we pass our 10th board exams. And that's one of the toughest decisions, I think, at a very young age we all have to take, which will shape our entire life, our entire career, the profession from which we are going to earn in our entire life, which will also decide our survival in terms of financial gains. So at that age, I mean, it's not just our parents who are taking decisions from us. We also have a say in that. That are we going for science or commerce or arts or any such field? So, what is our thought process? How do we decide that why are we choosing this? What is the reasoning behind it at that age when we choose this? What was that for you both, Rahul?
Yeah, I think for deciding my professional life, name it, when I choose science stream and went to mechanical engineering, I am big believer of using method of elimination. If you can't aim the arrow, at least don't aim at the wrong direction. And I think I haven't been able to pinpoint, even like when I was studying mechanical engineering, that oh, I am made for mechanical engineering. No, I think it was like a decent thing where I enjoyed it. That doesn't mean I would solely enjoy mechanical engineering. I might enjoy other things, but I was super clear what I do not enjoy. So, for example, I thought like I don't have so much artistic hint in me, so arts was eliminated like that. Uh, yeah, choosing between commerce and science was something, because, for example, I like accounting. For example, I like numbers in general, analytics and stuff. So maybe some stream of commerce can be interesting, but all in all, we use more numbers with engineering and science. So I went with science. Then interesting thing was I didn't decide I would like to do mechanical engineering until I was 12th grade. I mean, there was for sure a direction because of like our family background being in mechanical engineering and all, but I wasn't sure I want to be a mechanical engineer. And I still remember until like 12th grade, I was still fumbling between should I go for ECE engineering or mechanical. Uh, and the tricky thing is, for example, in our country, we have a lot of computers, science and IT engineers. The interesting thing is we don't really study IT or computer as a very firm subject as very seriously until the 12th. So you take IT or computer seriously when you are in college and not before that, because we know that when we do the science stream, how vaguely we take the computer course. It's a chill exam, it's like a moral science thing. So that makes it difficult, but I would say just try going in depth. Like I tried going in chemistry, and I knew that chemical engineering or chemistry stream is not for me. I become sure there. So I think method of elimination works. And that being said, I could have been also similarly happy with other streams, but I knew where I won't be happy.
Yeah, I think for me, Rahul had this really interesting take on the elimination thing. And I think for me, it was a bit of that as well, where I knew what I was not good at or what I didn't like. But then, honestly, in 10th grade or so, when we had to select a specialization between science, commerce, or arts, it was more like, okay, I didn't know anything. So, depending on the grades and so on, I think our family took the best decision they could make at that time, which was like, okay, you can do science, it's good, it's okay. And this classical approach of let's push into science and get through engineering and then probably figure out what you want to do, which is, I think, in my case specifically, I know it's a very shamed out approach in today's day and age, but I think in my case it actually worked out, because I was so unsure of what I wanted to do back then that I did go with the flow. And so I also did not have a kind of resistance, because it was not like I wanted to do commerce or I wanted to be an MBA graduate or something, and my parents were pushing me towards becoming an engineer. No, I had no idea, I had no preferences, which means they said that this is a better thing for you to do. And then I went into it, and then as I grew older, like 11th, 12th and so on, I think I was still not taking anything seriously as such. But then in engineering, your social circle again changes, right? You're living with different set of people and so on, and then you start liking some things and start disliking others in terms of just academically subjects and fields and so on. and then you get into, okay, like I think this is something I could do, and you also start becoming more aware of your responsibilities, that okay, now you're grown up, you have to make decisions. Like, so I think that was for me the case where I eliminated, I don't like physics, so I don't want to get into mechanical engineering or so. But then it was like, okay, we need to do something that's also fairly different. So that's how I got into this chemical technology and polymers and so on.
I think, and it was a very right decision. So I always tell people that if you are unsure about something and you are not able to make decision for yourself, leave it to the people that know you in and out, because the people that are really concerned about you will always try to have a say that which is best for you in their knowledge that they can help you out with. So if you're unsure, as you rightly said, that I was not resistant or stubborn about that, oh no I want to, because sometimes at that age people do become very rebellious, but somehow they also don't know what they want to do. So if you are sure you want to go with something that your family, against that your family is expecting you to, sure, you need to have a say, because you have figured out what you like and what you want to go ahead with it. But if you have not, then it's best to involve the people that really know you well to help you out. And I mean, anyone who knows you can say that everyone took a very right decision. I mean, you are meant for this. I don't think you, the way you are right now, and the research on the level that you are doing, you would be able to do if you would have taken any other subject like commerce or arts or something like that. Not that those are less, however our society expects it to be. Every profession is unique and has its own importance. I mean, not everyone can be creative, not everyone is talented enough to paint things. So it's in the person. So not in there should be no grading system that if you are getting such marks you have to take science, if you are getting specific marks you have to take commerce. It's in you, what you like and what you want to decide. And what Rahul said is also something I really loved, that try to adopt a elimination method. So recently I was watching this series on Netflix called Good Doctor. And it's about a doctor who is autistic, and but one of the best surgeon, resident doctor at a hospital, and it's and how he navigates communicating with patients, and it's about his life and as a doctor and in the medical fraternity. Very nice series. So what I figured in one of the episodes, and also multiple episodes, they showed the same pattern. When, because most of the doctors, the actors who are portraying doctors are surgeons there. So there are lots of medical emergencies, and then they have to decide on the spot that what kind of surgery they would do and would be best. So a similar pattern that I learned from there of decision making is that they used to choose on in terms of, they used to decide both the decisions that have some risk in it. If I choose this, these are the risk. If I choose this will be the risk. So then they came up with a decision that let's compare that out of both the decisions, what decision has a less amount of risk involved in it. We all know that this is right and this is wrong. Of course we know that we need to choose right. So it's not always that transparent, it's not always that clear that okay, this is the right decision for me. So when anyone has to make a difficult decision, I learned from that series Good Doctor that try to jot your risk down for both the decisions that you are comparing and both the options, and then come up with that one decision that has lesser risk than the other, and then try to, because might be there are chances that both will involve suffering for you at certain point of time, but in what decision will you suffer less? Choose that kind of decision. So that's something I found it very fascinating while watching that series. Okay, so having said that, as adults, as we grow up, and we get successful in our professions, we often use these terms that now we think very rationally, we have to think very critically. We use such kind of words very frequently to make decisions, of course, at times. So, do you think that as adults, we always think rationally, or are our decisions also made out of emotions? What do you think? And also, one another thing is I've seen as adults that many of us, when we talk about such things, many people degrade that word of, oh, I don't think emotionally. But sometimes it's good to think out of emotions as well. And that it can be a blend of both, thinking out of emotions as well as thinking rationally. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's, as you say, like it's always a combination of both, and depending on the person, it might go as a spectrum to one side a bit too much, on the other side too much. But I think depending on the situation, for example, let's take like for cases like ours, right, where we live away from our family and so on, deciding where the next job location might be and where we might go for studying and so on is then a combination of this. And then depending on the type of person you are, if you get extremely homesick and so on, then emotions play a much bigger role in your decision compared to just this is the best university, I'll go there anyway. That right. And so I think it is always a bit of a trade-off, and I think they're having this kind of pros and cons list, which also includes your emotional factors, might be a good idea.
I think I have this like personal framework I would like to follow, or I try to follow. Until survival, try to be rational, as much rational as possible, because survival gives like rationality gives security. And after like a bare minimum survival is fulfilled, try to be emotional, because rationality has no flavors in it, and emotions has flavors. So and also I think being rational gives an incremental growth, maybe being not stupid but still being emotional, and like how to put it, like if you are like more emotional and you follow your instincts, which is not rational, you can have like an exponential growth in terms of anything, and in life I would say, also in terms of relationships also.
How? Give an example of it.
Yeah, for example, if you like a girl and then rationally no one will ask her until you get like 100% clues that you have like she likes you back. But I mean, come on, maybe you are losing the time. Probably she likes you, just go and ask. The worst is she will say no, and but if she says yes, then you will spend like really good moment which you might have spent it just evaluating, yes, no, and then eventually you don't ask. And if you ask, and if yes or no, your life can change, certainly. So
Yeah, but and that I think applies for job as well. Everyone has their dream company, dream job to work for, and I mean sometimes what stops us is that we overthink and overanalyze things, and we think that, oh, this brand is so big. I mean, look at me. I'm still inexperienced. I'm still figuring out things. Why would they hire me? Before even they reject us or they even consider us, we reject our own self. And because of that, we don't even try to apply or reach out to. So as you rightly said, and that applies to in many aspects of our life, that just simply ask. And when it comes to take any decision out of emotions as well as think rationally, I've created one video long back on YouTube. Now this framework is called regret minimization framework, and this was developed by Jeff Bezos when he was in his struggling days and he was still trying to create Amazon out of his small room garage, and it was still limited to selling books online. So he used to have many questions around that. Will this be successful? What will I do in life? And he came out with this framework to decide things. And it's a decision making framework where he says that whenever you need to take any difficult decision in life, um, instead of going on flashback, try to imagine that you are 90 years old. You are settled in life, you have grandchildren around, you are not even you are very secure, you are not worried about anything. And then at that age, if you think about the decision that you are going to make right now, will you be proud about it or will you regret it? If you will regret it, then don't take that decision. But at 90 years of age, if you will feel proud about that decision, then go ahead with it. So he calls it a regret minimization framework, that you minimize the regret, and that's how you imagine. So many people, many trainers are there who teaches manifestation and visualization. I am personally not expert at it, and neither I'm not sure about the concept. But it is one of the visualization framework, I believe, that he tells all of us to visualize our future self and think that will we be proud of it. And I think sometimes it does work, because there are also emotions involved in it, because when we imagine that, we are connecting with our value system. It's not about the age, but it's connecting with our core value, and we are trying to reflect on our core values. And I think at the end, we get our intrinsic satisfaction only from the core values, if we align that in our both personal and professional life. So having said that, my next question is, as adults, as we grow up, we try to find pros and cons and everything in every decision that we make. As kids, we used to just decide that, okay, I want to go in this tuition class, coaching class, because my friends are going. That's it. No pros, cons, no analysis, no evaluation behind it. If we liked it, we liked it. And if we didn't, and then we used to come home and say that, no, I don't think I like this classes. I want to switch to another one. We just decided on things. But as we grow up, we try to overanalyze, overthink, and just find pros and cons in everything that we do. So do you think that sometimes it is the major cause that is stopping us to take decisions, and sometimes we also end up missing and losing lots of opportunities on the way, because we are just thinking, we are analyzing, but we are not taking decision after that? What's your take on that?
I think yes, but also partially. So, for example, I think because I am one of those people. Like, if I have to buy a phone or something, it takes me 6 months to decide on, right? But then, at least the way my mind I work is like, okay, then it goes back to what you were talking about in the regret minimization thing, that I will take 6 months, because when I make a choice, if it's an iPhone or if it's a Samsung or if it's a OnePlus or a Nothing or a Pixel, at the end I want all the variables to be listed down, and or like being aware of all the variables, pros and cons and everything, so that I have zero regrets. Because I know, if, for example, let's say I buy a Samsung and there's a probability that the battery is going to explode. If it does, like, I am the only one who is to blame for it, because when you buy a Samsung versus an iPhone, the probability of the battery exploding for a Samsung is much higher than an iPhone. But then it's my choice, and if I'm aware of it, I don't have any regrets. It's a very vague example, but I think it goes back to regret minimization. But I think, like, connecting to this childhood thing, right? It's also the cost of mistakes is, as we grow up, like, the stakes get bigger and bigger. So the cost of a mistake is so much higher that it is not always bad to do that rationalization. So I think it is kind of, you have to have a balance, because if you keep rationalizing everything, you lose out on, as Rahul said, you lose out on the flavors. So I think it's a combination of both, but I think it's not that rationalization should be discarded as such. But yeah, everyone has their own process as well. So
How about you, Rahul?
Yeah, I think I actually agree, and I I think like Gaurav said that, for example, if you it is very important to evaluate the cost of our decision. Uh, that brings us the clarity. So it is very important. Doesn't matter if we take a rational decision or an emotional one. We need to be clear throughout the process of decision making. Otherwise, we can make mess in both the cases. And I think, in my opinion, I believe like taking an emotional decision is when like the pros and cons are basically not balanced. You are weighing to one side a lot, and taking a rational decision is you are trying to balance the pros and cons, basically get the best possible deal. But I believe, like for example, if you are well aware of the consequence of your decision, if you are okay paying the cost and taking an imbalanced decision, then it's okay making irrational decision also, like an emotional one. But I fully agree that it is very important to get your decision clearly worked out through your brain, and also calculate the cost of your decision.
yeah.
Right. So, my last question to both of you before we move to the next segment, something fun for you both, is that what Gaurav just said about that if I have to buy a phone, I'll take 6 months. But that is something that he has already decided. That I want to buy a phone is one decision that he has already taken. And then he's just exploring options. And then the next decision that he has to take is, out of these options, which I'm going to buy, which one I want to go ahead with it. But the first decision is already taken, that I want to buy a phone and I'm buying it. um, but my question to both of you is, for the people who are watching this, that sometimes there are very tough decisions that people have to take, and sometimes not even tough decisions, it's just, asking a girl out. Might be tough for many people, might not be, it's very subjective. Maybe, go as I said, that want to apply for a job that they aspire and it's a dream job for them, but they are just not having that courage. So most of the times many people lose out on opportunities because of that. They just get stuck with something and they don't take any decisions ahead, and they are just stuck there. uh, so what do you want to say to people, that what kind of motivation and encouragement that you feel one should have to just take decision, even if it goes back, but just try it out? I mean, how do you motivate yourself if there are such kind of situations? I mean, if you're not taking decision, that means you have just avoided something. You are ignoring something, which might turn out to be a golden opportunity for you. But just because you are feeling scared, or maybe you are too much analytical of the situation that you don't need to be, you are just losing an opportunity. So at that time, instead of taking that courage to take a decision, you are going back and just avoiding to take a decision. So avoidance is not the solution. So I mean, in those situations, what do you do, and what do you want to say to people, that how should they encourage and just go ahead?
I think one good thing is also like when you have peer pressure around. So in this cases, when you have ultimatum of sorts, right, through your friends or family or something, it is not always a bad thing as well, because in the situation that we're talking about, this might act as a good pressure point or a deadline where you can make the decision faster, and it realistically isn't going to change a whole lot in the long run, right? Again, if we stick to the phone example, a phone lasts 4 to 5 years. There's a cost factor to it, but if we remove that, it's a 5 year thing. What's the worst that can happen, right? So I think this also is like imagining the worst case scenario is also a good kind of a solution to just helping yourself make a decision or push yourself to make a decision. So I think that's depending on the a decision, if it's about a job or moving countries or cities, the stakes are a bit shifted compared to a phone, of course. But I think imagining or visualizing the worst case scenarios in every decision also, like, at least for me, it does help. Like, if I have to buy a phone versus if I have to choose between going for a PhD versus a industrial job or so, I think the worst case visualization is really helpful.
How about you, Rahul?
Yeah, I think this is not my original idea. This is something I read from a book. So actually, in AWS, the Amazon Web Services, Jeff Bezos coined this term like two-way decision, like irreversible decision and reversible decisions. And it is a book on like data engineering. So it has that they did a survey and said that more than 90% of our decisions in life or in business are reversible decisions. Meaning, even if we make a mistake, we can often reverse the decision and undo the mistake in a way. Of course, it might have some amount of remains from that, but apart from that, it's not a catastrophe which has occurred. So I think if it is a reversible decision, which are more than 90% of our decisions, try taking the decisions, because the worst thing you are losing is the time. If it is irreversible decision, then of course I think we need to be a bit careful about it, since we can't undo the decision. But of course it matters upon the stakes. If the stakes are so low and you do not it doesn't impact you even for irreversible, then take it.
Okay. So, now let's move ahead with a fun segment. I'll ask both of you this and that questions, this or that. So you have to choose. You have to decide. And it's mostly related to our work life. I mean, what will you choose? Right? So, let's start with number one. Would you follow your passion or follow job security?
I think job security followed by passion.
Same. Have a baseline, then be emotional.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Work from home or work from office?
Office.
Yeah, office every day. I would pick work from office.
Okay. Take a promotion with more hours or stay in your current role with balance?
Depends on the type of promotion, but maybe promotion.
Yeah, I think same. If I'm liking what I'm doing, then why not go for promotion?
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't feel like work then.
Yeah, true.
So lead a team or work independently?
Lead a team for sure.
I would prefer working independently. If it's not necessary leading a team, I think.
Okay. Accept a high-paying job in a toxic environment or accept a low-paying job in a healthy culture?
Low-paying job but good working environment. Like the later, sorry.
Later.
Later, yes.
So is it the same for you, Rahul?
Yeah, same. Healthy environment.
Yes.
All right. Specialize deeply in one skill or be a generalist with multiple skills. So like be jack of all trades and master of none, or be master of one?
I think jack of all trades for sure.
Yeah, I think as a person I would likely be jack of all trades, but maybe in capitalistic world also in some cases the strengthening is important, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in today's world, one cannot expect to just be master of one. I mean, sure, the ratio there should be one skill that you are expert in, but other than that, you need to have some sort of other skills as well to excel in life, especially in professional life, because we live in this era of side hustles, multi-source of income. So yes, I agree with that. Okay. Switch industries for growth or stay loyal to your current field?
Switch industries.
No, yeah, I will also switch industry because of learning new, not maybe for growth, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So agreed.
Make quick decisions under pressure or take time to analyze every detail.
Quick decisions under pressure.
Yeah, I would analyze detail, but not every. Try to minimize the risk as much as possible.
Work in a startup with uncertainty or join a large, stable corporation.
Startup.
A large stable corporation.
Why have you chosen what you have chosen?
And not for stability of the large corporation, but I want the runway to be bigger. So I think large corporation has a longer ladder.
Yeah, I think in my case, I think it's more about like in a startup, as I imagine it, like you do more things, which means you're also learning more. So there's no like structures is nice because you have more efficiency in a larger corporation, but in this case, then it's more about okay, you get to do a bit of everything, which means you're also exploring more, even in your job profile.
And my last question to both of you is that would you take a break or a sabbatical to reset yourself or push through harder, work harder?
I think sabbatical if I can afford it.
Yeah, I think same sabbatical if I can afford it, but most importantly, I should have high spirit after taking taking the sabbatical. Not it should not be out of laziness or burnout or something.
Right. I believe that if one is taking any break or sabbatical, of course, one should take break from time to time. It is very much needed for your physical and mental health to revive, to evolve, also to think from a fresh mindset when you come back. But I feel that whenever you are on a break, your learning should not stop. I mean,
Exactly.
you're not going to your workplace on daily basis for a time being for few months or a year, and you are taking a break. Great, everyone needs to do that, but the learning should not stop. Try to develop a new skill. Try to be better at the skill that you already are good at. Take it to next level. Explore different networking events or workshops, but just don't stop. Yes, the purpose of break is definitely to rejuvenate, but at the end we should know that we are going back there with a renewed version of ourselves, and that renewed version should definitely have some value addition in our own life as well as people around us when we go back to work. So yes, the learning should not stop.
Yeah, totally agree.
So that's it for today's video, today's conversation, today's episode of the Weekend Club series. I really hope it was insightful as well as fun for you. Do suggest some topics that you would like us to discuss, especially related to management and professional life. And I'll see you next week.